welcome to another video. You've got Mr. Everything English, and today we are talking about some changes that have been made to the AQA English Language GCSE. These changes do not come into play this academic year, 2025. So for those of you watching this video who are doing the GCSE this year, for you business is as normal. But from June 2026, this is what has changed. Everything Education. Tuition for maths, English and science. Now, before we look at what's changed, let's look at what remains the same. 90% of it remains the same. The structure of the exams, the timings for the questions, the marks available for the questions, and most importantly, the assessment objectives remain the same. That's the most important part. So what you're being assessed on remains the same. Now, I spent a bit of time going and reading over the changes, and honestly, I really like it. I feel as though AQA has cut out the fat and they've made it easier a little bit. There's much more clarity in the questions. So overall, guys, I think these are some really positive changes. Small, but positive. Now, let's start with paper one, which is where the bulk of the changes have taken place. What has changed in paper one? The first thing that has changed, guys, in paper one is that question one for paper one is a multiple choice question now. And they've said they've done this because they want the exam to start with a low demand question to allow students to settle into the exam. So it's a nice multiple choice question. Same marks, same timings, but you have a multiple choice for paper one, question one. Now, paper one, question three, there's also been such a welcome change. Paper one, question three, what was it, or what is it? How does the writer use structure to interest the reader? Now, which question throws people off? The word interest. Now, what the exam board have done is that going forward, they will ask for a specific effect. We'll focus on a single effect. So, for example, rather than saying, how does the writer use structure to interest the reader? They may say, how has the writer used structure to create suspense? To create tension. Much better, much more focused, rather than doing an ambiguous interest question. So that's paper one, question three. Now, paper one, question four, tiny change, guys. Paper one, question four was the statement question, where it says a student has said, and then they give the statement, and then they ask you to what extent do you agree. Everything remained the same. However, they've literally removed the student said part of the statement. That part's gone. And they're just going to give you a statement. Again, guys, because they want you to have much more focus in your response. Now, paper one, question five, the big one. What have they done for paper one, question five? When it comes to the image, the picture question, they are now adding a prompt which tells students that they can use their imagination. They can use their imagination, which means they're telling you that you don't have to stick to the picture like glue. Fantastic change. Well done. And for the story, for the narrative writing, they are now going to be giving you the option to write the opening of a story, or you continue writing the full piece. Again, fantastic. So those are the only changes for paper one. The majority of it is rewording and adding elements to make the exam easier, in my opinion. Now, paper two, English language paper two, there's not been many changes. The bulk of the changes were paper one, but let's go over paper two. There's been two main changes, guys, and that is in question two and question four. Now, question two, guys, what they've changed is they've reworded the question slightly, because there was a big issue, right? Are we comparing here? Are we doing a summary? Are we doing a bit of both? And if you ask a different teacher, they'll give you a different answer. So paper two, question two, the skills remain the same. The AOs remain the same. It's just they've reworded the question to make it easier for us and for you to understand what they are after. And for paper two, question four, in the second bullet point, they've now changed the word, not the question, but in the bullet points they give you, they've changed the word compare to comment. Because what they said was that they found that students became fixated on comparing methods rather than comparing ideas and perspectives. And that's it. That's it. There's not been many changes, guys. I actually love these changes. It makes it much easier as a teacher when giving you guys the question, because the questions is what causes the problems. The assessment objectives, what skills you're being marked upon, remain exactly the same. Nothing has changed. Timings remain the same, assessment objectives remain the same, the marks for each question remain the same, the marks for each paper remain the same, but all they've changed, guys, is in paper 2, they've changed or they've added a few rewording to paper 2, question 2 and question 4. And for question 1, they've made it multiple choice. For question 3, they are now going to give you a single effect to focus on rather than just saying, look at interest. They might say, look at suspense, look at tension. Question 4, they've removed the student said part, but the statement remains. Question 5, for the picture, they've said you can use your imagination. And for the story, they've now given you the option to write the opening or the full story. Lovely. But remember, guys, this is from next year, June 2026. For now, everything remains the same. As always, it's been Mr. Everything English. Peace.